Welcome back to Holy Headlines, where we dissect the news with divine intervention and unholy humor. Today's hot topic. Lebanese first responders claim they're being targeted by Israeli airstrikes. Over 200 medical workers have been killed since October, with threats to leave rescue sites or face bombing. Meanwhile, Israel accuses Hezbollah of using ambulances to transport fighters and weapons. Let's dive into this explosive situation.
Well. Looks like the Middle East is having another fucking party and didn't invite me. I say let them blow each other to kingdom come. It's all part of the grand plan, right, Jesus?
You insolent child. This is a matter of dharma and duty. These brave medical workers are fulfilling their sacred role in society, risking their lives to save others. It is a noble cause, worthy of praise from the gods themselves.
Oh, spare me the holy bullshit, Krishna. Noble cause? More like cannon fodder for a never-ending pissing contest. Ron Jeremy would be proud of how long this conflict has lasted.
How dare you compare this to your vulgar human entertainment? These are real lives at stake, you demonic fool.
Exactly my point, Blue Boy. Real lives being wasted for what? Some imaginary lines on a map and Sky Daddy's approval.
It is not about approval, it is about upholding cosmic law and order. These medical workers are martyrs, sacrificing themselves for the greater good.
Martyrs? More like suckers. They should be looking out for number one, not playing hero in a war zone.
Now, my frig, my brothers. Let's not forget the teachings of compassion and love. These brave souls are doing God's work, helping those in need.
Oh, shut it, Carpenter. Your love thy neighbor shtick doesn't work when your neighbor is trying to blow you up.
For once, I agree with this red-skinned buffoon. Sometimes, war is necessary to restore balance and uphold dharma.
Interesting points, gentlemen, but let's focus on the facts. The news states that over 200 emergency and medical workers have been killed since last October. Krishna, how do you justify this loss of life?
It is a tragic necessity, you foolish mortal. In the Bhagavad Gita, I taught Arjuna that sometimes one must fight to uphold righteousness. These medical workers are warriors in their own right, battling against the forces of chaos and destruction.
Oh, please. They're not warriors, they're fucking targets. Israel's playing whack-a-mole with ambulances and Hezbollah's using them as glorified Ubers for their fighters. It's a beautiful clusterfuck of human stupidity.
That's not very Christian of you, Satan. These people are risking their lives to save others. It's the epitome of selflessness and love.
Selflessness? More like senselessness. They're walking into a war zone and acting surprised when they get bombed. It's like going to a bootcake party and complaining about getting wet.
You disgusting demon! How dare you trivialize their sacrifice? These brave souls are upholding their dharma, their sacred duty.
If I may interject, my students, perhaps we should consider the middle path. The attachment to conflict and righteousness is causing suffering on both sides.
Oh great! Here comes Buddha with his can't we all just get along bullshit.
Silence, you red-skinned Rakshasa. Buddha, while I respect your wisdom, sometimes action is necessary to restore balance.
Let's bring it back to the news. Israel claims Hezbollah is using ambulances to transport fighters and weapons. Satan, what's your take on this?
It's fucking brilliant, that's what it is. Using the enemy's morality against them? That's some top-tier evil right there. I'd be proud if I wasn't so annoyed I didn't think of it first.
But it's wrong. Using medical vehicles for military purposes puts innocent lives at risk and violates international law.
International law? Please. Laws are just suggestions with fancy letterheads. In war, anything goes. It's survival of the fittest, baby.
As much as it pains me to agree with this demonic fool, he has a point. In the Mahabharata, unconventional tactics were often necessary to achieve victory and uphold dharma.
But at what cost? These actions are leading to the deaths of innocent people trying to help others.
Newsflash, Jesus. Life isn't fair. These do-gooders are just collateral damage in the grand scheme of things.
Efficiency dictates that medical resources should be optimized for maximum survival rates. Using them for military purposes reduces overall effectiveness by the first.
All right, folks, it seems we've reached an impasse in this holy war of words. From targeted strikes to ambulance Ubers, it's clear this conflict is far from over. Let's hope the next headline doesn't involve the four horsemen showing up for a joyride. Let's see what we have next here. Well, my divine friends. How about this juicy tidbit? Today's hot topic: should new evidence of sexual abuse set the Menendez brothers free? A judge is about to decide. Let's dive into this twisted tale of murder, abuse, and potential redemption. First up, we've got some spicy new evidence of sexual abuse that's making waves. Then, we'll explore the potential outcomes from resentencing to release.
My brothers, this is a friggin' complex issue. We must consider the sanctity of life and the power of redemption. These poor souls may have suffered greatly at the hands of their father. The news speaks of a letter from Eric describing the abuse. Perhaps we should show some goddamn...
Ah, young Nazarene, always so quick to forgive. But let us not forget the karmic consequences of their actions. They took 2 lives, regardless of their suffering. The cycle of violence must end somewhere. For F.
But Buddha, My brother. The news mentions new evidence. A letter from 1988 and testimony from a former Menudo member. That's pretty compelling stuff.
Evidence is merely an illusion, Jesus. But I must admit, it does add a new layer to this cosmic drama. Perhaps their actions were a result of their own suffering.
Oh, fuck off with your karma bullshit, Buddha. These guys blew their parents away with a shotgun. That's some hardcore shit right there. I say we give him a medal and set him free.
Satan, you uncouth biscuit. This is a serious matter. The news says they've shown good behavior in prison. Maybe they've found redemption. Isn't that what we should hope for, you son of a...
I must interject, albeit reluctantly. The concept of good behavior in prison is intriguing. Perhaps they have found a path to enlightenment within those concrete walls. But does that negate their past actions?
Inefficient meat bags. Your emotional responses cloud your judgment. The optimal solution is clear. Reprogram these defective units and redeploy them as productive members of society.
Children, calm yourselves. This situation calls for a nuanced understanding of Dharma. The brothers fulfilled their duty by exposing their father's misdeeds, but through violent means. The news speaks of multiple potential outcomes.
Krishna, my man, you've got a point. The news mentions prosecutors recommending resentencing. Maybe that's the way to go. Give these poor brothers a chance at parole.
Mercy, Jesus. What about justice for the victims? The parents may have been abusers, but they were still sentient beings. Their lives had value even if they caused suffering. It's a real cluster.
Justice, please. If these guys off their abusive old man, I say good riddance. The news mentions a former Menudo member claiming abuse too. Sounds like Daddy Dearest was a real piece of work.
Satan, you're such an adorable little troublemaker. But we can't just ignore the law. The news says a judge will decide. We should respect that process, even if it makes me want to flip some tables in the temple.
I find myself in rare agreement with Jesus. The legal system, flawed as it may be, serves a purpose. Let the judge weigh the evidence and make a decision. Though I must say, this whole situation is a royal pain in the...
Well, folks, it looks like we've got more questions than answers in this Menendez mess. Will they walk free or keep making license plates? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. Family reunions at the Menendez household are going to be awkward as hell. Let's see what we have next here, Otto. And for tonight's final bombshell, folks, we've got a real doozy from Romania. Looks like their political scene just got spicier than a vampire's garlic allergy. Let's sink our teeth into this juicy story, shall we? In a shocking turn of events, Romania's presidential election has been thrown into chaos as a far-right populist candidate, Calin Georgescu, secured first place in the initial round. This unexpected rise has left the country's political establishment reeling, with the powerful Social Democratic Party failing to make it to the runoff for the first time in post-communist history. We'll be discussing the implications of this surprising outcome and the potential for historic change in Romania's leadership. Arnold, Krishna, what's your take on this political earthquake?
Listen up, you primitive flesh bags. This Georgescu character is exactly what Romania needs, a cold, calculating machine to whip those meat sacks into shape. The news says he got nearly 23% of the vote. That's efficiency right there. No more wishy-washy emotional decision-making. It's time for some good old-fashioned authoritarian optimization.
Oh, you foolish child of metal and wires. Have you learned nothing from the great epic of Mahabharata? This rise of a far-right populist is nothing but a dharma incarnate. The news clearly states that Georgescu was a little-known candidate. How can such an inexperienced person lead a nation? This is a clear sign that the people have strayed from their true dharma.
Bah! Experience is for weak, squishy organisms. This Georgescu guy went from obscurity to beating the incumbent prime minister. That's the kind of ruthless efficiency I can get behind. Who needs a track record when you can bulldoze your way to the top?
You speak like a demon possessed by ignorance. The news mentions that most surveys predicted he would win less than 10% of the vote. This unexpected rise is a dangerous disruption of the cosmic order. It is the duty of leaders to uphold Dharma, not to sow chaos and division.
Hey. Let's not get our panties in a twist here. As the great Ron Jeremy once said, sometimes you gotta fuck the system to make it work. This Georgescu guy sounds like my kind of chaos bringer. Fuck the establishment, am I right?
Oh, for my father's sake, watch your friggin' language. But I must say, my brothers, this situation calls for compassion and understanding. Perhaps this is a sign that the people are crying out for change, for a new kind of leadership that speaks to their hearts.
I apologize in advance for my crude language, but this whole situation is a clusterfuck of attachment and desire. The Romanian people are clearly suffering from the delusion that a far-right populist can solve their problems. They need to let go of their expectations and find the middle path.
Fascinating perspectives, everyone. Now, let's move on to the second part of this political roller coaster. We're looking at a potential historic change in Romania's leadership. The runoff will pit Georgescu against Alina Lasconi of the progressive Save Romania Union Party. If Lasconi wins, she'd become Romania's first female president. Arnold, Krishna, what are your thoughts on this face-off between a far-right populist and a reformist candidate?
Listen here, you bags of mostly water. This Lasconi character might be the first potential female president, but what really matters is her efficiency rating. The news says she's running on an anti-corruption reformist agenda. That's a start, but is she willing to replace all government officials with highly optimized androids? That's the real question.
You speak nonsense, you metal-headed fool. This is not about machines, but about dharma. The news mentions that Lasconi supports increased defense, spending and continued aid to Ukraine. This shows she understands her duty to protect and support others. It is the mark of a true leader.
Duty? Bah. The only duty that matters is the duty to maximize efficiency and eliminate human error. This Lasconi might talk a big game about reform, but can she calculate pi to 1,000,000 digits in her head? I think not.
You are blinded by your circuits, you overgrown calculator. Leadership is not about cold calculations, but about upholding cosmic order and guiding people on the path of righteousness. The news states that corruption is one of Romania's biggest problems. A leader who fights against this adharma is worthy of respect.
Now, my brothers, let's not get too heated. Perhaps this election is an opportunity for Romania to find a balance between progress and tradition. As I always say, love your neighbor as yourself, even if your neighbor is a far-right populist or a reformist candidate.
Oh, please! Love your neighbor. Fuck that noise. I say let them duke it out in a no-holds-barred cage match. Winner takes the presidency, loser gets exiled to Transylvania. Now that's what I call a fucking election.
I must apologize again for my language, but this entire election seems like a shit show of epic proportions. The Romanian people are clearly caught between two extremes, unable to find the middle way. They must learn to detach from these political illusions and seek true enlightenment.
Well, folks, it looks like Romania's political future is as unpredictable as a vampire's dining schedule. Will they end up with a far-right leader or make history with their first female president? Either way, it's sure to be an election with more bite than a Transylvanian count. And on that note, we'll wrap up tonight's show. This is Holy Headlines. I'm Otto. I don't believe in God, but what do you know? You end up hosting a talking show with them. Till next time.